Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode.
What's your biggest regret? What is the one thing that you would change knowing all the things that you know now about your life? What's one mistake you made that if you go back and you change that, your life would be radically different now? I've been asked that question in many forms, whether it's from a podcast interviewer or from a close friend of mine or from a client who has gotten to the maintenance stage and is having his legacy call with me. He's about to move on in life and he just wants to make sure that he has as many bases as possible covered. And the answer is always the same. The answer has always been, I wished I sought professional help earlier. I wish I sought that help earlier. And today I'm going to make that even more specific. I wish I sought professional help from the right people early on. How do you determine who the right person is? The right person scares you. The right approach will bring up something within you that will cause you to experience fear. It could be fear of loss, but more often than not, it is fear of success. It is somebody who talks about or lives a life that challenges your potential. You look at this person and you know that you could have something similar to what this person has or more, but you are so scared. It's not fathomable. You can dream about those things because you are a man with big dreams. You are a man of huge ambition. But oh, it is so scary. But here's the thing. The path that my mentors, the people that I finally sought help from much later in life, the path that they proposed, when I first heard it, I thought it was insane. I just wasn't ready. Life had yet to deal me the blow that would put me at quote unquote rock bottom. And so I just thought it was big, it was huge, but I scoffed at it. I thought it was a pie in the sky sort of thing. And the people who were sharing it, even though they were living, I would say, larger than life lives in different areas of what I now call Reboot Capital, they didn't seem to be doing it the quote unquote right way. They weren't doing it by going to college and becoming a doctor. They weren't doing it by working a job or career the way my parents said I should. They weren't doing it by being in traditional relationships that the church and society had said that I had to follow. And so there was a little bit of mistrust there. I wish I had just trusted because I would not have lost some of the things I'm going to share with you guys today. So today I'm going to talk about 3 reasons for you to work with elevated recovery. I was going to call this 3 reasons for you to work with the person who scares you, but then I realized that I wasn't being honest. There are a percentage of men who listen to this podcast who should be speaking to me, who should be speaking to Dr. Rankin, to Dr. Eastman, to our Reboot heroes, and to our Reboot strategists. Because all those individuals think big about what you can accomplish emotionally, what you can overcome from your past, what you are capable of doing when it comes to your career and your relationships. The bigger your dreams, the bigger your purpose must be to bring them to life. I'll say it again. The bigger your dream, the bigger your purpose must be to bring it to life. And when you have a nervous system, when your biochemistry has the capacity to regulate itself, when you can control your impulses, then you are able to take on more challenges, because that big life you want is going to be filled with challenges. So I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your background is. Your ability to control your impulses, your ability to regulate your nervous system and all your emotions is the key to unlocking your potential. You cannot do that if you do not reboot. You cannot unlock your true potential. Your true potential is hidden behind the shame, behind the guilt, and behind those emotions and unresolved issues that you haven't addressed that are causing you to view pornography. That is what I'm prefacing the reasons for working with us with. Here's the first reason that you should work with Elevated Recovery. This is absolutely shameless, obviously. First reason is you. You have a vision of your future which is better or maybe more secure. Let's say it's not better. Maybe you live a good life now, but you want more security. You have a vision of your future that's more secure than your current situation. And it is very painful and frustrating to stay stuck on pornography or your out of control behavior and be unable to move towards that secure future. Ask yourself, do I live a pretty good life? But right now, the only thing that is causing me to not be able to secure this life, to lock it down, to know that my wife is going to stay, to know that my sex life is going to improve, to know that my investments are going to grow, to know that I can open another office or start a second business or start a side hustle or save more or improve my health. The only thing that's getting in my way is my behavior and the emotions that come with it, the way it impacts my self-image and holds me back from doing what's necessary. So that's the first reason. Your vision of security or a future that's bigger and better than what you have right now. The second is we are actually cheaper. We are cheaper than trying and failing again and again on your own. Why? I've often spoken about how it is important for you to compound your success, that your success does not come by having one good year and one bad year. It comes by having a steady increase incrementally over a period of time. And then one day people look at you and say, hey, Brian, David, James, how did you seem like an overnight success. They don't understand that while they were watching pornography, while they were going to the sports bar, while they were getting drunk, while they were fighting with their wife, while they were getting distracted with fantasy football, while they were doing all these other things, you were taking advantage of those moments to work on your emotional states, to work on your business, to be closer in your relationship to your partner, who is a person you need to compound your success. I'll talk about that in another episode. How my being in a relationship for almost 16 years contributed immensely to my net worth, to my ability to be a better coach, to my ability to be a better professional. I was not distracted. I was loved and I was supported at home. I was secure emotionally at home. I was secure sexually because of the consistency of my relationship. It allowed my general success in every area of Reboot Capital to grow. You can't compound that success when you are constantly interrupted by binges. You just can't. So you will grow, but you'll notice it's very difficult to measure your growth. And you will notice, especially those of you who are in your 30s, 40s, and those of you who are in your 50s and you already know that you're not secure. Listen, if you're in your 50s and you do not feel secure about your finances, you straight up fucked up in your 30s and your 40s. It's not too late. But if you still haven't sought professional help for your out of control behavior, you're an idiot at this point. That's for my 50-year-old brothers, late 40s too. I don't care what your excuse is. You need to fix it. Homeostasis as you grow older is another thing that's very expensive. Homeostasis is the tendency to resist change. That's just the way I'm defining it. Your body wants to remain the same. Your brain wants to remain the same. It wants to do things that are safe, that allow you to survive. So it is not going to allow you to take risk. Any habits you engage in, whether it is doom scrolling social media, whether it is binge watching Netflix or some TV series, whether it is eating sugar, all of those things are things that you have trained your mind and your body, rather your brain and your body, to become used to. It tells them, it sends a signal that you are safe. You have enough sugar to have fat stores. You have a secure home. You don't need to risk it. You have a secure job, even though you may not be happy in it, even though you may not even be making enough money. So you will not take risks. You will not push yourself. It becomes hard to wake up early. It becomes hard to go to the gym with consistency. It becomes very, quote unquote, hard to change your diet. It becomes even harder to do things like leave relationships that are not working out for you or trust other people. Homeostasis is very expensive. It's one of the reasons why you look like shit in your 30s and 40s, because it is very difficult to justify taking better care of yourself. A final thing that's expensive is the trauma that starts coming out in your late 30s through your 40s. I've learned in the last, I would say, 4 years, and this is a recent development, that the older you get, the more likely the trauma that you have been repressing is going to show up in your life. Most men make the decision to work with us. Yes, even if you're in your 20s. If you fuck around and you don't seek professional help, you'll end up with us in your 40s and 50s. Because I'm not going anywhere. In case y'all didn't know, I'll drop this. I think I dropped it a few months ago. But just a reminder to those of you who are newer to this, I recommitted, or rather I committed to 25 more years at Elevated Recovery. I'll say it, 25 more years, maybe not at Elevated Recovery, but dedicated to ending men's out of control behavior in whatever shape or form. I'm all in. And I said this publicly to my team. So that means we're going to become the best. If I'm going to put the next 25 years of my life behind this, you best believe that we are going to become the best. But please, don't wait till then, because you may not be working with me directly at that point. It is unlikely. Take action now. What I've learned in the last few years is that the men who come to us in their late 30s or 40s have waited a very long time to seek help. And unfortunately, for some reason, that is when all the things you've been repressing come out. It's the same time that men start having their midlife crises, where you start realizing that you're old because there are physical changes that are happening. Your looks are starting to fade if you've not been taking care of them. My brothers who are in their late 20s, I tell you, there are going to be a lot of asides in this episode, but I will punctuate them in another episode where I talk about these things. But please start taking better care of your looks in your late 20s if you want to look good in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Whether it is your hair, your hairline, your skin, how you're exposed to the sun, your grooming, especially your physical health and working out. If you are working out very hard, you are lifting heavy weights, you are running, you are stretching, you are doing mobility exercises, your 30s are going to be amazing. Take it from me as a 40-year-old man. I am in phenomenal shape. You don't believe me? Go to my Instagram. I also post videos of me working out, and I'll be posting more and more so you can actually see how fit I am. A lot of shit comes out in your late 30s through 40s, and that becomes very expensive to take care of because chances are at this point you have a mortgage, you have a wife, you have kids, your finances might not be in order because you've not been dealing with your shit. And it is really painful to watch men who do not have the time or the money, or in many cases, the energy, literally the energy, to be able to take care of those issues that have come up. On top of that, you've not been used to asking for help. So now you're an older guy who's not used to asking for help. Do you know how difficult it is to ask for? Well, you guys know, because there are many of you guys who are listening to the podcast who haven't asked for help. And shout out to my brothers who are in the program who listen to this. You've done good. The third reason is that it is very risky to figure out the solution on your own. What does this mean? It means that the cost of trying to work with different therapists over the years, it is painful. It's so much easier to just show up and talk to a Reboot strategist for free, get on the call with them, and then get a recommendation if you don't think we're a good fit. In another episode, I'll talk about why all the time you spend with your therapist, while it makes you feel better, while it improves your self-awareness about yourself, I will talk about why it does not change your behavior at all. You're just more aware, you're smarter, you understand where shit comes from, but ultimately, nothing changes with your behavior and your life. The areas of your life that you want to get better, the reason why it doesn't get better. There is a cost to wasting your life on trial and error, and that is what I wasted the most time on. I wasted my life on trial and error. Like, oh, I want to see what my parents say works. I want to find the first thing on Google, and I'm not going to do any research on it. The method that we have is a proven, tested, and statistically safe method. Why? Because you're not going to leave the program traumatized. We're not digging up any shit from the past. You're in a safe environment while you're doing it. And this program is about, how old would I say it is? I'd say it's about 17 years old. But if we were to put together all the years of our clients' experience, current clients and past clients, it's probably about 50 years old. Why? Because that is the combined amount of years of our clients who have reached the maintenance stage, who contributed to the success of this program, who've contributed by their recorded legacy calls where they've shared lessons, who have shared tools and tips that worked for them that we incorporated into the program. In fact, it's one of the only programs where you can find highly successful men that left a legacy that we didn't just leave it lying around in our groups. We took that and incorporated it into the program. And then other successful men showed up and they were like, damn, how did you know me so well? Like, how did you know this was going to work? How did you know I was going to say that? I was like, because we have years and years of data of men who are just like you. The world is filled, brother, with incredible men with incredible potential who ran out of time. It is one of the saddest things. Incredible men with incredible potential, but you just ran out of time. Next thing you knew, you were 35, you were 37, you were 40-something. It's too fucking late. It's too late. And when I say it's too late, it means that you can still get started now, but it's not the same as starting when you're 29. It's not the same as being well known for what you do or being seen as a young and upcoming successful person. It's completely different. In an effort to save money, you wasted your most important resource, which is time. And time is way more valuable than money. It cannot be replaced. It cannot be replenished. If you can take 4 to 5 years, which is the time the average man takes to try to do this on his own. So when a man shows up and says, nah, I'm going to try this on my own, it takes them 4 to 5 years before they finally decide that they're going to seek help. And I know this, we've been doing this for going on 13 years now. That's how long it takes. That's 4 to 5 years of research, of trial and error, of mistakes. If you can take all of that and you can condense it into 3 months, into 90 days, let's push it a little bit, 120 days, you will bypass every single one of your peers in emotional health, in your physical health, in financial growth, just by being willing to pay money to save time. If you can leverage my 23 years of experience, that is 11 years of acting out on a daily basis sexually, out of control, 11 years of that, day after day, every day was a binge for me. I just lived in a binge. My dick never got a break, ever, unless it was like a little bit chapped, but I was also a pro at rubbing one out even when I'd hurt my dick. 11 years of acting out and 12 years of helping men every single day as well. Or you can waste 2 decades of your own time making your own mistakes. 2 decades, why? 2 decades because 4 years to 5 years was for men who had admitted that they had a problem. There's some of you who still truly haven't admitted you have a problem. You still are telling yourself that it's a bad habit. I can probably control this. You haven't said, I have an addictive behavior, that this is a compulsion and I cannot stop it on my own. So you don't qualify for the 4 to 5 years. Oh my God. I can't believe that I have to record an episode like this, but I know There are many of you out there who have to hear this. If you had $10,000 and you came to me and you asked me, JK, what should I do with it? I just have $10,000 lying around. I would just tell you this. Invest it in removing all the barriers that are standing in the way of you making more than $10,000. What does that mean? It means like if you take $10,000 at, let's use a market average of 6% and you invest it, it will take you 40 years to turn that $10,000 into a six-figure number. 40 years. So it makes sense that you should take that $10,000, especially if you struggle with some sort of compulsive behavior, and remove anything that's standing in your way of making another $10,000. It is not, the interesting thing is people will say, well, common sense says that I should take that $10,000 and I should take it and use it to learn how to make $100,000. That does not work for men who are dealing with any sort of out-of-control behavior, especially if it has to do with substances, if it has to do with sex, if it has to do with alcohol, which is still a substance. You cannot do that. And I wish somebody told me, because I was making good money. I was making a lot of money, in fact. But the money didn't double. I didn't invest the money. I didn't do any of those things. And it wasn't because I was young and dumb. It was because I was not thinking clearly, because I had an addictive behavior. I had a lot of emotions that I needed to access, but I never accessed those emotions because I kept them suppressed. Anytime they came up, I would use pornography to feel better about it, and I didn't talk to anyone. So while I was good at making money, I never addressed the emotions that would make me a normal person, a quote-unquote normal person, a person that we call at Elevated Recovery, we refer to as a civilian. Yeah, they have $10,000. I'm like, please invest in learning like a marketable skill set that you can use to go make $100,000, $1 million. Please go do that. But a person who somehow came across $10,000 or was fortunate enough to save that up and scrounge that up, you need to make sure you don't sabotage. Not only do you need to make sure you don't sabotage, you've done pretty good, you need to make sure there's nothing that's going to stop you from being frugal and then protecting that 10K. You need to find out, why did it take me so long to have 10K? What is in my way? What will stop me from doing another 10K? Because why would you even come to me in the first place and ask me what to do with your 10K? You know how you made it. Why don't you just go out there and do it again? Because it was challenging for you, because something was in your way. The risk of working with us is not that the program will not work, like the risk of actually using the program. The biggest risk is that you have sloppy execution of the program because of inexperience, because you do not have the skill set of implementing a system, and because of the problems that you face alone. See, most high-performing professionals who already have the resilience and the discipline to do well at their work and their career, they fail at controlling their behavior, not because you cannot do it on your own, but because you are alone and you are solving problems that you were never trained to solve. Pornography addiction is a problem you were never trained to solve. And the reason why you don't need as long as other men to end this behavior is that the moment you learn how to do this, you are good to go. It is the men who are the most successful in our group that are the men who leave the program the quickest. There's nothing else to talk about. It's so obvious that he's ready to go. He stopped acting out. Not only has he stopped acting out, his life has moved forward. He finally got married. He had a kid. He bought a home. He has investment properties. He turned in his resignation to his boss. Why? Because his side hustle is now making more than he's making at work. And he knows he can 5X it or 8X it or 10X it by leaving his job. And he has the courage to do so. Like, he's making all these moves. Every month, dudes are like, this dude's a beast. No, he's a rebooter. That's the reason why so many high performers become a part of the intensive. And that's the reason why many of them are, within a year, they are already at the late stage of their reboot. It's extremely rare for somebody to be at the maintenance stage within a year, but they are already at the late stage within a year. And those gentlemen, those are the reasons why you should be a part of Elevated Recovery.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.